Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you for another Appalachian Trail community news and THru HIker update. Well, I have just got back from trail days and it was a hoot. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but let's go ahead and talk about why we're here. That's to support the THru HIkers. I hope you've come here to be a part of the THru HIker community. Whether you're a THru HIker or somebody that's at the sitting on the couch and just watching the THru HIkers and supporting them, please go to their YouTube channels or Instagram, whatever they got out there. Please go there and leave them a comment and just let them know that you're supporting them all the way. You can find that by going to my hiker support list. I'll leave a link down below. If you're a THru HIker and you want to be included in my updates, then please send those updates to me on Thursday or Friday or even Wednesday. I'll be sure to include you in my updates, and you can do that through any of the contact information down below. So let's go ahead and get started. So our first group of folks that we got out there are from 2019, and that is Belch and Hanging, and they are from the YouTube channel It's Who We Are. They started in 2019, had to get off from various reasons. We've talked about them before, but they are really neat to watch, put out some great videos, some good friends of mine. So I hope you'll go and support them. They are somewhere around just past 1,300 miles, so congratulations to them, and they are northbound all the way to Katahdin from here on out. 2020, well, the 2020 folks, we've got Trail Marshal. He is in Vermont, and he should be in somewhere around Killington midweek. So I'm enjoying watching him because that's where Come Along and we're actually going to be going there the 1st of July and through that same area there. So it's very interesting to see the different spots and the terrain he's going. So that'll help me plan my hike. And then 2021, we got a bunch of those folks. So let's go ahead and get into them. So Runway is back on the trail and heading to Waynesboro. Huck was here. He's in the Grayson Highlands. BFG is in Virginia, this southern Virginia. Funkster is around Bald Mountain, just north of Hot Springs. Parachute Beaver is around Elkins, Virginia. Sloth is coming into Harrisburg, Virginia. Whisper is passing northbound of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and indicates for the first time since I left Georgia, I feel like I'm in a bubble with all the flip-floppers coming out of the Harper's Ferry. Whispers also indicates that the Micro Hotel in Hamburg, Pennsylvania fills up very quickly with construction workers. So keep that in mind if you're coming through Hamburg, Pennsylvania. Crazy Quilt is through Roan and on her way to Hampton. Buttercup's north of Port Clinton, Pennsylvania on her flip-flop. Subman and Suds has conquered the Priest. Congratulations to them. Mr. Freeze is around the Rutland area. Aquaman, he is through the Triple Crown. Not so much as in Vermont and past Stratton Pond. Again, I'm going right through there. Very interesting to watch his videos. And actually, he's posting through Instagram. Mike and Kathy, they have made it to the halfway point, and tonight they're going to be doing the half-gallon challenge. Silva is around Harrisburg. Cephas and Pitfall, they're going to be rolling into Damascus tomorrow, which will be Monday afternoon. Seb is around the Delaware Water Gap area. Hopeful and BG were off trail recouping from some leg issues. They were around Harper's Ferry area and kind of did some small test hikes trying to get those leg issues worked out. I think they did about 70 miles up into Maryland. But now they've dropped back to Davenport's Gap where they got off, and they're going to go ahead and head north from there. Possum and Greasy, they have made it to Marion in the Atkins area. 3D is in the Front Royal area. Corner is around Dismal Falls. Shoes have made it to Damascus, and Shoes, of course, is our hiker this year that's hiking with no shoes. The Vintage Hikers, they are around the Front Royal area. Goob is through the Smokies and has made it all the way to Hot Springs. Cab's on his way to Delville. Cryptic is in Massachusetts, and Cryptic says through Whispers, our northern correspondent, that he says the shelters and privies are 100% being maintained in Massachusetts. So right now, Massachusetts says no camping. So maybe they're maintaining them because they're getting them caught up because they're going to turn people loose to go ahead and take that no camping mandate away. RV should be around the Roan Highlands, and Dingo is in the Smokies. So a couple folks that we know that got off this past week that reported in, Chicken and Dumpling have officially gotten off for the year. Dumpling is going to be a grandmother for the first time. Congratulations to her. And that is awesome. And she decided she wanted to be a part of all the things that go on with being a new grandma. So everything from the ultrasound to the gender reveal to you name it, they're going to do it. So awesome to hear that. Congratulations to her. And she's the one is off mending a broken elbow and a sprained wrist. But she's going to be getting back on just as soon as possible. So we got some trail news out there. If you were an ATC THru HIker who signed up with the ATC and you also registered for them to send you updates via text or emails, then you probably got the notice that they are now going to be issuing bag tags for folks that are starting as of May 11th, and they're going to be recognizing THru hikers. Now, of course, that comes with a caveat. So if you hiked any between March 31st, 2020 and before May 11th, 2021, if you want to be recognized as a THru hiker, they say you have to repeat those miles. So I'm sure y'all going to run right out there and do that. They also say the best way to do that is to start in the south in the fall of the year. Now, somewhere in their guide or their guidance for what you're supposed to be doing, they also say that you're to avoid crowds. So if anybody knows anything about hiking in the south during the fall of the year, you know that it's about near impossible to avoid crowds out there, particularly on weekends when people are coming out looking at the fall colors and everything else. So like a lot of guidance we've been getting for a year or so from the ATC, I don't know that I would specifically follow that guidance. So they are not counting any miles done between March 31st and 2020 and May 11th, 2021, when the President Sandra Morrow banished THru hikers. I think she may have tried to she tried to banish all hikers from the Appalachian Trail, and when she unsuccessfully lobbied Congress and the National Park Service and the Department of the Interior and the Secretary of the Interior and anybody and their mama who would listen to her, when she tried to get them to actually shut down and close off the trail. Fortunately, nobody listened to her then, so I know a lot of folks aren't listening to her now. So a little bit of relevancy happening there. You know, if you can, I mean, that's kind of, if nobody's listening to you, then you're starting to become irrelevant. But unfortunately, all that still stirs up issues for us hikers and even for the ATC that, don't get me wrong, is by and large a great organization. It's just the leadership that I have some issues with. So the ATC says that, or they originally said that they would recognize THru hikers when and if the CDC deems the pandemic under control. And now they've got a caveat there in parentheses. It says, or similar determination. It's not what they said before. It was under control was the only verbiage that they used. Or COVID-19 vaccine or effective treatment is widely available and distributed. So you'll recall from last week or our last video when I asked the question of the ATC actually several weeks ago, and they just answered it with, like 10 days ago, and I just broadcast it last week. When I asked him, okay, what does an effective treatment, give me the definition of effective treatment, give me the definition of widely available, what's your benchmark, what's your definition, what's your threshold, who's going to decide that? So I did not get any answers specifically to that, but lo and behold, this week after that video, now they have decided to go ahead and turn people loose out there. So this is not the first time that has occurred, that we have put something out on this channel, me and you, because I get a lot of information from folks out there on the trail, try to vet that out as much as I can, as well as getting stuff online. But so I consider this a community channel, and I'm just here being kind of the figurehead, so to speak. But in any case, that's not the first time that has happened on this channel. So we would put something out, and the very next week, the ATC put something out to kind of counter or to answer what we have said. So I think that's pretty cool because that tells me they're listening. They also say that we have determined that the second of these criteria has been fulfilled and significant gains have been made toward fulfilling the first. So nothing specific on what significant means, or what the definition means, or what the leadership has determined that widely available means. One of the things that they do say that their reasoning is that shelters in the national forest down in the south have reopened, mask requirements are being reduced, and states are opening up. So it seems like, though, that doesn't really meet the definition of under control or effective treatment or widely available. It is, but we never had a threshold for that. So now all of a sudden that becomes the threshold. So it seems like they're kind of making stuff up as they go along. I know that's hard to believe, but that pretty much seems they're writing their own rules as they see fit. I mean, maybe they realize that some of the science that's come out, particularly of late, is actually junk science. I mean, I read an article where the CDC admitted that they greatly exaggerated the transmission rate for COVID in the outside, that they said you were 10%, you have 10% chance of getting it from outside from people, when actually it was 0.1. So 0.1% chance, not 1%, but 0.1%. So that's 100 times exaggeration. And their reasoning was, well, we didn't tell a lie. We were just being overly conservative. Well, that's silly. That's like saying less than 20,000 people are attacked by sharks each year. Well, that's true, but the number is closer to 150 people that are attacked by sharks each year. So that's a little disingenuous to say, well, we were telling the truth. Well, no, you weren't, because you were way over exaggerating it. So that's kind of junk science. That's just my way of looking at it. But maybe also the ATC realizes that they're running out of their $19.5 million that they've given away or spent on other stuff, and that they reading comments from this channel, from other channels, from other social media, and they realize that their proceeds are going to be down drastically next year and in the coming years. So, we can only hope so that they understand that, because it's going to take a grassroots effort to get the leadership removed. I don't think the leadership there is going to ever change. And by leadership, I mean the president. And so it's going to take a grassroots effort to get that changed. Now, there is, I have seen where they are taking nominations for board members in this coming year. So I'm not eligible. If you've wanted to vote for me, thanks for your vote of confidence, but I am not eligible, because one of the criteria is you have to be a member of the ATC, and I'm not a member. I used to be, and I shut down that membership last year after all the junk they did. I know of a lot of other people who have done the same. Another thing that they've indicated is that they will be opening some of the ATC visitor centers, and Harper's Ferry is supposed to reopen on May 27th. But they also say, due to limited operations, restrooms and in-store purchases will not be available until further notice. So come on in, just don't touch anything, don't leave any of your crap here. That's pretty much what they're saying there. But they also are saying that they will be reissuing bag tags there. So if you go there and you take their classes, which are, leave no trace, bear hangs, wilderness, quick first aid, what have you, then they will issue you a bear tag. So I don't know how they're going to issue you a bear tag. They won't allow purchases. So how do they hand you the bear tag? Do they use the hot pot tongs or hot pot plate or something and hand it to you through plexiglass? How do they do that? And how do they have these leave no trace if you can't come inside to purchase anything? How do they do the leave no trace in person? I don't know how they're going to do that. I do know that if you go in there and the irony overwhelms you and you have to go puke, that you got to go out there in the street to do it, because you can't go to their bathrooms to do it. Also, they have announced that the typical pictures, the Polaroid shots that they take at the front door, are no longer going to be doing that. They're only going to be doing artist renderings in chalk. So you can have that done, but you can't touch anybody. And they're doing that because they believe that the Polaroid shots steal the soul of the ATC. So you only get a chalk rendering this year, folks. So maybe you can take a picture of that with your phone. So all that is the same junk science that they have been listening to from the beginning. And but you know what? Let's go on to some more worthwhile news here. So Caveman is telling me that he's going to be doing trail magic actually starting tomorrow at High Top Mountain Parking Area in Virginia. And he'll be doing some trail magic for the next couple of weeks on different days. We will leave those down below so you can see what days he's going to be doing those there and what area he's going to be doing that. And then our northern correspondent whispers indicates that New Hampshire now has no COVID restrictions, only recommendations, which means, you know, you can go ahead and pretty much do what you want to. They would like for you to go along with their recommendations, and I'll say those would be a good idea, but you're not required to do that. Many towns, establishments, he say, continue to have restrictions, of course. So still keep your mask in your pack with you, just in case you're going to go into a restaurant or somewhere where they're going to require that. We want to be good stewards of the hiker community, and if somebody's requiring masks, then let's just go ahead and wear them. But the federal government does not require masks inside and outside. But states and stuff and own establishments may very well do that. In Connecticut, he says that he is close to some folks that do work with the Connecticut Trail System, and he says that they are indicating to him that right now the sites are officially closed, but he feels like they're going to be opening up by Memorial Day weekend. And then Massachusetts, we already heard from Cryptic that right now they are closed, but they are being maintained, and I'm anticipating that they're out there maintaining those so that they're getting ready to open those up, particularly when the bubble gets up to into Massachusetts. So a little bit about trail days is it was a hoot, had a great time. Thank you for everybody that came up to me. Enjoyed taking pictures with everybody and just speaking with everybody, both folks I knew, folks I didn't know, folks I saw from social media, folks, new people that I had never talked to before. It was great being there with the hiker community. I greatly thank you for everybody that came up to me, man, woman, or beast. And we had a beast in our campsite there and thoroughly enjoyed that. So we just had a good time, and trail days is always a good time. It doesn't matter if you're down there at the drum circle at night, and that is a hoot. Great place to go people watch down there, and you know, you can just hang out on the periphery and watch everything going on. We left before it got really out of hand, but once they were getting down to a minimal amount of clothing, we went ahead and left. We were tired anyway, so but in any case, it was good, neat to go down there and see that. And so I was glad that Miss Janet decided to do that. We had put it out in an earlier video that she had canceled that, but once the ATC and particularly the Fed said no mask, you're not required to do any mask outside, she went ahead and did that. So thank you, Miss Janet, for going ahead and doing that. And next year I look for that to be even bigger and better. And of course, we look to have the hiker parade. We did not have that, but other than that, there was a few left. What I would say about half of the vendors were there. Part of that was due to the pandemic, but also here in the eastern seaboard, we have experienced a terrible gas shortage because of the pipeline. So if you're somewhere other than the eastern seaboard and you weren't aware of that, most gas stations have been at least periodically without gas. I know here in North Carolina at one point it was 75% of the gas stations were without it. So folks may have had a hard time getting there. Some vendors may have. They had already planned to have fewer vendors, but it didn't matter. Everybody had a good time. Looked like the ball field down there was slam packed, and of course back in the woods were riffraff and other folks camped back in there. All that looked pretty slammed as well. So it was just a good time, and highly recommend folks go there to that next year and just be there with the hiker community. And then our stove winner for this week is Mustang Sally on the Appalachian Trail. So Mustang Sally, if you'll contact me, send me a DM or an email, I'll be glad to get you out that stove. Folks, that's all I got this weekend. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.